Landeskog, McLeod, they got a little bit of a fine, all that. And the NHL trade deadline. We're going to be talking Rangers hockey. Let's do this. Come on. He's back. He's Chicago Dead on Dave. Back from the dead. Really, our near death. Everybody's really worried about you, saying really nice things.
I know. I really appreciate that, hockey fucks.
Yeah, well, you're back. You're bad. Sorry, we're not live today. I need to get out of the house, and Dave needs to go to bed, and that's what we did. So we definitely want to apologize to Matt Kazar right off the bat. He was supposed to record with us today, and he will record with us the next 2 days, unless there's something that he can't do. He told me he could do it the rest of the week. I'd even be willing to do a Friday. Well, I don't know. That's right. Kids coming. But I'd be able to do something, spit out something earlier. So sorry to Matt, but we got to go on. That's the way this stupid stuff works. Of course, there was the only really major news last night was Cody McLeod, Gabriel Landeskog. They get into the end of Sunday's game. They pull some old-time hockey crap when they were down to the Minnesota Wild 3-1. Minnesota Wild, who is definitely not out of it, and there's another team we buried. The West is still the Wild West. It's just amazing what's going on there. What exciting playoff races we got going into March.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Oh, you sound a little low. Let me pump you up a little bit.
Do I sound low?
You sounded low, but I think it's my fault, and we're going to fix it right now, and you don't sound low some more. Yeah, it's really exciting, Dave. We have a bunch of stuff going on. I guess the biggest disappointment was maybe the lack of the big move trade deadline. You know.
Sure, yeah, to an extent. I feel that it's kind of cool, though, that teams really seem to make moves that they just had to make. Nobody leveraged anything for the future to take a shot unnecessarily. I kind of like that. I like that teams seem to know how to dial up their readiness for the playoff run. I think that's kind of cool. And it might be because of things that have changed with the salary cap structure in the past. Could be a good reason as to why that's happening.
Well, we were talking about this offline, and everybody seems to be universally disappointed with the lack of big moves, not just on the trade deadline yesterday, but this entire year. There's been no real blockbuster moves that we're used to. And let's face it, that's entertaining. That's why you stay on the internet to keep an eye on the trades, because it's entertaining. It was entertaining. Maybe it was just a bad draft year. Maybe there was no moves. But going by the lack of major blockbuster moves, really since the summer, does this have something to do with the salary cap? And I noticed, I'm going to dig at the fans here. I know everybody seems to be, I'm pro salary cap. I don't think those players should make that much money because I can't.
Because the doctors don't make enough money, and the teachers don't.
Yeah. Like, the teachers don't make enough money. Teachers don't produce anything, especially in ones in America. Yes, I'm talking to you. That's another subject for another time. But here's the thing. That's always the thing. Is like, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't born. Like, I don't give a shit what they make, and I also know they can't make it that long. Is this another self-righteous, stupid thing, jealousy thing that is cut into our overall NHL entertainment? I never understand why people hate their boss and side with sports owners. But I mean, that's something to consider, that maybe we're not going to see those blockbuster deals anymore, and that cuts into our entertainment. So your jealousy, your support of the owners, your bosses, led to less entertainment. How do you think of that, Dave?
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. And I just thought of another reason as to why this could have happened, why there was no big names moved. Something we completely forgot to mention. Mm-hmm. Big names, huge names in trades usually need one thing to get moved, and that's assets, draft picks. This is the year no team wants to give up a high draft pick because of how stuck.
That's true.
That's
100% true.
I think that's
all right. Let me rephrase that then. I don't know. I don't know. I apologize for interrupting you, but I don't know if that's the case. I think it's like anything. It maybe led to a couple factors.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be more than one factor in something like this, but it's just sometimes it's a perfect storm, a conglomeration of things that just lead to no big moves. But I think there was important moves. There may not have been huge names, but there was some very important. Your team was a part of a very important move. The Rangers getting Yandel is huge. The Blackhawks made a couple of very, very high yield moves if they work out. It's just.
The Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets have been this for the last 7 days, and they're trying to make. And they're accepting their injuries, and they're really throwing the dice. Big hats off to the Winnipeg Jets staff for just like, I don't know if things will work out, but it sounds like the guys upstairs that sit next to computers have as much heart as the guys on the ice. This is some serious gambling that the Jets are doing, and good, go for it. They need to make the playoffs. They need to let everybody know that they're not going to be the Winnipeg Jets of old that ended up leaving.
This is the year for it too, because the West has got some deficiencies.
Go for it.
This is the year. Winnipeg needs to do it right now.
That being said, there was a lot of draft picks given up, and and because of Connor McDavid, there's more focus on the fact that there's so many draft picks going. And I think one of the criticisms I heard of Florida they're obviously more interested in making the playoffs than getting Connor McDavid. Is that a wise decision? Well, I don't know if that's a wise decision or not. I don't even want you to answer that, Dave. I'm glad they're trying to win. And I get sick to my stomach thinking that somebody might be able to tank. Good. I'm glad. You're supposed to win. That's where we're in this.
They're on the cusp of a playoff berth. Go for it.
Look, I don't have a problem with the Buffalo Sabres. And I think at certain points of the season, they did put effort in. It's just the team's got no talent. Nice. They got Sam Giggins. That's it. And that kid's got a heart.
Now they don't even got him.
They don't even got him. Yeah, he's gone. So, I mean, I think everybody's going for it. Everybody's trying. Teams that we thought were out of it, Los Angeles, Minnesota, they're going for it. They're out of it. They're not out of it. They're making a run at it. We talked at the top of the hour about McLeod and Landeskog. They got a little trouble over here. They're out of line. I think it's pathetic and all that other stuff. But that's what all the media is saying today. It's still as bad as that was. They got their fines. They're probably lucky they didn't get more. They obviously want to win. They're only 5 points out right now, the Colorado Avalanche. So I mean, everybody's going. The West is wide open. And we have that. Flipping back to the trade issue, and I guess this leads into the New York Rangers. I have to be honest with you. 2 points. All right, the thing wasn't entertaining for maybe the reasons that me and Dave went over. But here's the thing: it's easy to get on these like super big trades because most fans, including myself, and including 99.9% of the people out there, including 90% of the journalists, don't understand the low-level trades and how important they are to put the final pieces to the perfect puzzle together. Sure. While it might not have been entertaining to us, it does not mean that yesterday wasn't important and that brilliant moves were not made. I see this thing in headlights. The Rangers win. And this just shows me the media in general knows very little about the job of being a general manager. It's easy to say that the Rangers won because they got Keith Yandel. That I don't think was a bad move. Keith Yandel is not hurting our hockey team. There is some controversy with the fact that how much youth in the draft pick they gave up. It's a different issue altogether. And I think I've covered that in past shows. It's just that the Rangers won. Well, I reject the headline. I reject the headline quite literally. We don't know if they won. What they did is they got the media approval of giving them a story. And I know that from doing this show. I have to go on. I have to look at the headlines. What's going to capture people's imagination? What are they interested in? So I can say something like, the Rangers won. The Rangers didn't win shit. The Rangers made a trade to put themselves in the future, and they got the approval of the media because at least they gave the hockey media something to talk about. I know you disagree with me slightly.
Slightly. I look at it from a little bit different perspective. I feel that if you look at that headline as just a superlative, then you're 100% right because it means nothing. There's no question about that. But if you look at it a little bit deeper, I think what some people are trying to say with it, I'm thinking it's what team did the most at the trade deadline to put themselves in the best position to make themselves a legit contender. And hands down, I feel that one move and some of the other side moves really did make the Rangers the strongest team going into this stretch run, and that's what matters most.
Okay.
Putting yourself in position. Now, can injuries happen? Can slumps happen?
Sure.
Are they going to fix their deficiencies with winning faceoffs? We don't know.
No.
And if they do, watch the fuck out, because this team oh God, they're already playing really good hockey.
Well,
right
they
now.
already were playing good hockey, and they
Yeah.
added an offensive asset that, I was listening to Ryan McDonough yesterday, and I was a little bit surprised about his sort of really positive reaction and how excited everybody is. I mean, these guys are obviously ready to go, and they think this helps. There's obviously, and I was not aware of this, they felt that they were missing an offensive defensive threat. And Yandel more than fills that in. He looked very good last night. He was very active. I know that's a really difficult thing to do, to go from a winning team to from a losing team to a winning team in a new system, and where do I fit in? And am I making a mistake? Am I doing what the coach wants? Literally 24 hours after you've been kind of upended in everything that you've known for the past couple months. It's definitely there's all that, but it's just like, I guess going back to what you're saying before, it's just like this. All right, I'm a Ranger fan, and this one thing, you won when you hold the cup over your head, not when you get Greg Wyshynski's approval. It's just because they don't know that much about the game. The only difference between us and them is we're going to be completely honest with you and say they're fans. The media's fans too. They won because they got Keith Yandel. But doesn't that sound too binary, too simple? Doesn't it sound like somebody that's it sounds like a witness's view and not an insider's view, which what these guys are supposed to be? I mean,
possibly, but I think when you look at the rest of their moves as well, I mean, they got 4 new players. They got Chris Summers, Carl Klingberg, and James Shepard. I mean, these guys don't seem to be slouches. They seem they're going to be able to add depth, a little bit of different things that maybe they weren't having. Who knows? It could be a very interesting thing that's going to be building for the rest of the season.
Agree.
And I think that all goes into it, not just the Yandel.
Let me move on. Let's talk about the New York Rangers a little bit. I said this to you off the air, and I'm not happy. I think the Rangers are a very good, dangerous hockey team, and other teams should be aware. But I've learned I don't think they're very diverse, and I preach that hockey diversity wins championships, and I truly and totally believe that. Unless you just happen to be so fortunate that you have just a ridiculous amount of skill. But there's no Red Army teams out there. Let's face it.
No, there's no world beaters this year.
No, there's no world beaters this year. Even your Chicago Blackhawks, which probably had the best chance, and the biggest surprise was the Predators, who the Rangers handled last night. The Rangers can beat any team in the league. That doesn't mean they can beat any team in the league in a 7-game series. The biggest concern that I have with the New York Rangers is by getting Keith Yandel, a team that already scores a lot of goals, right? Mm-hmm. It's obvious that the Ranger management thought we need even more offensive threat. This does not address the underreported issues. The Rangers have been pushed around at times by teams like the New York Islanders that have grit. This does not address or even confirms the fact that they think they can win the Stanley Cup with inefficient face-off men. Now, I understand why they didn't get rid of their centers, because they love them, and they are great, and they are a part of this extremely fast-skating, fast-striking, high-scoring team that makes them such a threat. But here's the thing, folks, and I have a very disappointing news for you Ranger fans, and they're not going to win the Stanley Cup because these are gaping holes in a 7-game series that aren't as a big deal over a long period of time. If you lose 4 in a row, you're out. If you can limit this, if the coach can figure out a way to limit your speed, you're out. If you can't win key faceoffs on power plays to come back from 2-1 leads, you're out. So the Rangers have just pretty went ahead and said, we don't need that stuff. I think that is an unbelievable move. It shows the nearsightedness and the continued failures of Glenn Slater, and I'm calling this right now. The Rangers will be a second-round exit because they haven't addressed these very important issues.
Wow. I don't see that happening. I see them at least making it to the conference finals. Mm-hmm. I think based off of how they've gotten, I know that the playoffs are a different season. I get that completely. Mm-hmm. But I feel that they're matching up with, especially with the lower seeded teams in the East. I don't think there's anyone in the East that's going to be able to take them in a 7-game series. I just really don't at this point. they have time to fix some of these deficiencies that we're talking about here.
Sure.
But to speak on the Yandle thing for a second.
No, they don't. No. I have to stop you there. And I'm sorry. They don't have time. They had time yesterday. The time has passed. The face-off men are going to be the face-off men through this. And that is huge. They can't fix the grit thing because that's the personality of the team. The only guy
not the grit thing, but I'm thinking the face-off thing can be fixed.
I don't know that. I hope you're right. I mean, maybe that can be fixed. But I don't understand. They played, 60 games so far? What magic's going to happen between now and then? I
mean, you never know.
I'm not trying to be a dick, No. Yeah, I think I've seen this too many times before. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other teams in the Eastern Conference. Now, the Rangers are first overall. Actually, they're tied with the Islanders. They have slightly more wins than the Islanders.
They played 2 less games, too.
Pittsburgh, let's look at Pittsburgh Penguins. First of all, they won their last 4. They have Sidney Crosby. They have Evgeny Malkin. These guys are getting ready for a playoff push. Yes, the Pittsburgh Penguins find a way to collapse. But there's really no reason the Pittsburgh Penguins shouldn't beat every damn team in the hockey every year. But because of the leadership issues that we've noticed and their ability to kind of collapse in big games, I think the Rangers would have to actually hope for that type of mental collapse to win. Maybe it'll happen.
I think that this year is the year where they're going to be able to outspeed them. I think that a team like Pittsburgh, a team that if you get them on their heels, you can beat them consistently. I think the Rangers are a bad matchup this year for Pittsburgh because of their speed. I think Pittsburgh's not the team to be looking at for that reason.
Counterpoint. I think that's a very good argument. I think we both made very good arguments. Let's go to another team. Team. The New York Islanders, probably the biggest threat to them. I
agree.
The biggest threat to them in the Eastern Conference. The Islanders have grit, they have speed, they have smarts, they have strength. They don't have experience. Yeah. And I think that's the best thing that the Rangers have. And believe me, I do think it slants it in their direction in a long series. Where I think the problem the Rangers will run into is it'll be a media circus inside of New York when these two teams get together, if they were to get together in any part of the round. This will be a 7-game series. There is no doubt in my mind. And I see the Rangers not being able to overcome a situation like that.
Well, the Achilles for the Islanders is real simple. They're 22nd right now against goals against, and they don't kill the penalty. They're worst in the league. They're 30th.
That's their point.
Those are 2 really big things. If you cannot keep the puck out of the net and you cannot kill the penalty, you are not going far in the playoffs. And honestly, those numbers scare me and could be a first-round exit for the Islanders if they don't fix that.
Let's go to the Tampa Bay Lightning, potential matchup for the New York Rangers. The Tampa Bay Lightning obviously have one of the best players in the league. They've been consistent all season. Again, this is a similar situation. There's not a tremendous amount of grit, but when you do have guys like Ryan Callahan that can hit. This is a very close team right now. They're ready to go. 82 points, 38 wins, 20 losses. This is a very dangerous hockey team. I think the only edge the Rangers have over the Tampa Bay Lightning is the experience factor of going to the Stanley Cup final. I fear a possible explosion by one Steve Stamkos could make the difference in the series.
Absolutely. This is the one team I'm going to 100% agree with you on because they put that fucking puck away. The best in the league at doing it, and in the playoffs, you gotta score goals, man. You gotta do it. You gotta score goals, and this is what this team does. Scary, scary team.
Let's go to teams that I'm maybe a little less afraid of in the Eastern Conference and potential matchups. Of course, the Montreal Canadiens. Although this is the team that I'm most afraid of and the less afraid of category. They're certainly first place. They're 41-17. 41-17-5, 87 points. They more than likely will hang in there and win the division. I think the only thing I'm going on is Montreal has holes that are exploitable, and if they did not fix what they look like a conditioning issue at the end of the season with their defense, I don't think they can beat the Rangers. I think the Rangers are clearly a better team than them, but there is always the Carey Price factor. Sure. But I don't really see the improvements so much over last year that I should be so terrified. That being said, the Montreal Canadiens could beat the Rangers in a 7-game series. It would probably go at least 6, maybe 7.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But what I'm also looking at here is I think you're 100% right on the conditioning factor and the fact that the Rangers are so fast and athletic, and they're able to get up and down the friggin' ice. It's going to wear Montreal out, and they're not going to be able to have the gas tank to go far. The other problem is this is not an elite goal-scoring team. They're 21st in the league in scoring goals. This is not a scary team, and you have to be able to bury it. Now, they are the best in the league at stopping the puck from going in, so it'd be a very interesting series. But I think the athleticism and the speed the Rangers have would be enough to propel them past Montreal.
This is why I'm the least favored of them. I don't think they have the type. I don't think they have a good enough coach, and I don't think they have a good enough defense to stop that speed. I could be wrong. Terrion can come up with a system to limit them and frustrate them. If you can limit them and frustrate them, you can beat them. It's been showed. And if I was Montreal, I would be a pest to the Rangers. Be a pest, be pests. Show your inner Shaw and Avery. And I think that'd be a good way. Let's go to the last two teams that are potential matchups. And, of course, Florida's a potential matchup in Orlando, Philadelphia, Ottawa. But these are teams that I don't find to be a threat at all. Sorry. Pat in South Jersey. Detroit. I'm going to do the two ones that I'm not scared of at all. Detroit, obviously, I'm a little more scared of Boston because their skill, but I think this team is past its time by. I don't think we're going to see Mike Babcock there. I do think the Rangers can beat them. The Rangers have handled them in the regular season, although that's not always a good indicator. I do think they can beat them. The problem with Detroit is if they just simply decide to wake up. Much of this case with the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins, I think their time's passed them by. There's confusing issues with what identity they are, what they're going with. Moves have been made that are not that great. Tuukka Rask has not been as good as he's been in past years. I don't even think it's all his fault. I totally blame upper management. I think the Boston Bruins are a great team, but I think now the Rangers have obviously surpassed them. Here's a team that probably scares me as much as Montreal, and it is the one team that I definitely think we're going to see is the Washington Capitals. And of course, goes without saying that Ovechkin, but it does appear that Ovechkin has found his groove, and not only found his groove, found his belief in his leader, which is what has been reportedly always missing with this team, that he didn't believe in the person that was coaching him, which is Ovi's fault. Nobody else's. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. For whatever reason, Barry Trotz, who is kind of a big, gruff, intimidating-looking guy and has been in this business a very long time, I think he was the only coach that the Predators have ever known over there, and he almost Buck Showalters his way out of the Predators, before they maybe go on to be one of the more elite teams in the future. If you remember, Buck Showalter left to Torre, and Joe Torre got all the credit for the next 15 years. That's exactly what happened, and I wonder if this is a similar situation. Buck Showalter built the Yankees. A lot of people don't know this, and I wonder if this is a similar situation with Barry Trotz. And if this guy with this talent and this team and the addition of Brooks Orpik, which we said was going to be huge, Matt Niskanen, which we said was going to be huge, and it took a little while, and they had their down spot, but this team has been collectively winning all year, 34-20. I think that would be absolutely a bruising series for the New York Rangers, and I would not want to catch them early.
It is your worst matchup. This is your nightmare matchup. This is the team you do not want to see in the first round. And we'll
probably see them in the second. And that's why this was what fits into my theory altogether.
It could be very, very difficult. It's going to go 7 either way. I don't think the Caps have a distinct advantage in any one key area. But here's the problem. This is a team that plays with unbelievable confidence in each other right now. And most importantly, maybe they believe in every word that Trotz is telling them.
Absolutely.
Every word.
He has done the impossible. He even made a dig. I don't think we mentioned this. Now that we're done with the Rangers thing, that he sort of made a dig to Adam Oates, and he said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, that Ovi's been getting the. How were you able to kind of connect with Ovi? I was like, I think he's been getting the wrong information over the years. Yep. Now, whether that's true or not, or he's been telling Ovi that because Ovi needs his ego stroked. You don't suck. Everybody else did, even though you're just doing what the fuck you're told and you believe in the system. But it doesn't matter what Ovi thinks. It matters how Ovi, what Ovi believes. It matters what it doesn't matter how he feels, how he believes, and he obviously believes in this, and that's quite frightening. Ovi going over 40 goals. And that is the serious, very good analysis of the New York Rangers and their possibility, and why I don't think so. And then Dave played devil's advocate. But I think Dave and me both could believe that the face-off thing's an issue, the grit thing's an issue.
Absolutely.
Dave thinks they can overcome, and that's what New York Ranger management thinks. Yep. And that could be very well the case. And I'm sorry, I'm going by experience. You need to win face-offs.
No,
I
you
don't
could be
care. The goal
100% right.
scoring, the goal. If that was the case, Detroit and fucking Pittsburgh would win every year. You need to do those other things, and that's pretty much it. I know it's going to piss off all Ranger fans, but you're wearing Canucks jersey. I have a lot of jerseys. F you. I'm a longtime Ranger fan. What have you? Did you see the Jeffrey Lupul thing?
No.
Some dope, and I was dying to talk about this. I talked about this with Matt a little bit yesterday. Some dope wrote. God, it was like, I want to keep Lupul on the basis that he banged Phaneuf's wife, only hashtag trades it. And they put it in the thing. Of course, there was, and I just love the way the guy who wrote it handled it. It's like, look, I didn't even think it was going to get through. They put it on. It's not my fucking problem. And there's like saying like about a lawsuit. It's like, what fucking lawsuit? I didn't air the tweet. They sue me for saying something mean. I don't know what the rules. We ought to ask Dave Rose if he did something. But I got to be honest with you. Look, it was a mean thing to say. I think we could all. It's horrible what that guy said. But he said it on Twitter. He didn't friggin' hack into TSN's system and put that tweet in, which I think he would have been culpable for some kind of illegal activity. He said something off the cuff, and they aired it. They aired it. And it was funny, and I'm laughing, and I don't care. I'll make the apology. Was it rotten? Was it mean? Did it cross the line? Yeah, but that's not what I'm laughing at. I mean, people say rotten shit about Dion Phaneuf every fucking day.
If anything, whoever's in charge of that broadcast needs to lose their friggin' job. If anything that's going to happen over it, it's the oversight commission of that job needs to be gone.
You know what it is? You know what it is, too? It's like TSN is so Maple Leaf centric. And I watch a lot of TSN. They're so pro Maple Leafs. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs channel. I mean, everybody knows that in Canada. It's not. It's just no fucking secret that you wonder. Look, Dave Rose thinks he's alone in his disgust with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He is not.
He's not.
I see it all the time. He kind of gives me the impression that, and maybe the media is like that, and maybe the diehard sort of like you have this. If we make a wrestling comparison, we have the Cena guys and the Smarks, and they're kind of battling it out right now. And maybe there's like, we're go Leafs go, and then there's the guys like Dave that have just he's 35 years old and he's sick of them losing. He's sick of them losing. But I think Dave's wrong. I think there's a lot more guys like him. Is it so ridiculous to believe? Tinfoil hat time. Hold on, let me adjust. There we go. Tinfoil hat. And no, I'm not making an apology this time. Is it so difficult to believe that somebody went, I'll say I fucked up?
Yeah.
That's what keeps going. That's why it's so funny to me. Like somebody, fuck. Or some fucking guy worked there, and you know what? Lupul flipped me shit one time when I was over there. I'm gonna pay him back. Because Lupul was pissed. Lupul was pissed. Last thing we're gonna cover. Yeah,
you think?
I fucking think it's funny. Yeah, if it was me, I'd be pissed too, but it wasn't, so it's funny.
Too. Of course you'd be pissed.
To quote Homer Simpson, it's funny because it's not me.
That's very true.
All right, last final mention or
I got a quick one after you're done.
Sure, go ahead. No, I got to ask you a question.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Phaneuf, Bozak, Lupul. None of these guys left. Is a little bit. I figured. I am a little surprised. I'm not surprised Kessel's still there. I am surprised nobody went.
Yeah,
where do you feel about that? What do you think's going on there?
Well, we were talking about it offline a little bit, and we think that there could be some pushback of the GM trying to keep his job and keeping his core in place and not trading him. And that could very well be the case, because what other reason is to keep these guys and not build assets for the most deep draft that we've had in the NHL in 10 years? What other argument could there be?
I don't know.
So,
I think it's two things, and I just want to touch on this because I think it's something we're going to touch on in the future. There's one of two things going on. I'm wrong. I'm 100% wrong, and I just read the situation completely wrong, and they're not going to eliminate this general manager, and the Shanahan regime truly begins with Kyle Dubas. Or it's like you said, look, the core of this hockey team is Phaneuf and Lupul, and these are the decisions that the prior group of people have made, and now we're in a situation where maybe they're holding on to it because they see the writing on the wall, so maybe they didn't make any moves, and they're saying they're going back. We need Phaneuf. We need Kessel. We need these guys. We need this. And that's pushed up because Wiz like, wait a minute, this guy Dubas, and they're trying to push me out of a job. They're trying to push us out of a job. Not just the general manager, just us out of a job. So maybe there's a little war going on here, or we've read the situation very wrong. I'd be very, very surprised if all of those guys are on the team. And then when Clarkson got traded, the only guy that we thought that may have been untouchable, we have figured everybody's going.
Yeah.
So it's, boy, I am. So we got something to talk about the day they hoist the Stanley Cup, the day after the awards, because I'm going to keep it. Toronto has now become the most interesting hockey team this summer.
Yeah, well, a part of it could also be they're trying to reestablish some value. Toronto's played such horseshit hockey this year that you have to wonder where the value is for some of these guys, even their best players.
You said this
earlier. Now, going into the summer, you let them play. You let them play the rest of the year, and maybe they reestablish some of that value, and you're able to flip them in the summer when you have the new cap stuff, when you have all that information, and you're able to really get a better view of what is going to happen in the draft. Then you make your moves. That's a possibility, too.
Oh, that's a good point. Would you have something for me, and then we're going to beg?
Yeah. Quick one. Have you heard about the Patrick Sharp stuff?
Yes. Deb is the one that actually kind of broke it on this channel that he's running around banging everybody in the locker room. If that is true, you guys have a big problem.
He's come out against this.
Of course. The team would too.
The story has been the fight emanated because he's banging players' wives.
Yes.
And and he was going to get traded because of it. As we know, the biggest telltale sign that this is probably not true is the fact
get traded.
He did not get traded.
And a lot of guys would want him on his team.
And he's having a down season.
Yes.
So they had every reason to trade him.
It could be bullshit.
And they didn't.
It could be bullshit.
I'm thinking it's bullshit.
And Deb, when Deb told us that, she didn't say this is true. This is the rumor that he's running around banging some of the wives. Yeah.
I like the fact that he did not get traded, and he has come out strongly against these allegations. I think
who got in the fight? Who threw the punch? Because nobody even knows that much.
There's no word on it. The only thing we know
is this is the red code of silence that most hockey. It could have been over some macho bullshit. You know, like, hey, you kicked my skate. Yeah, fuck you. Hey, fuck you. And I mean, look, that shit happens with guys like this.
Especially with a team that's slumping.
Good
not
point.
Playing their best hockey. But it hasn't even been confirmed that Sharp was in the fight.
Sure.
So,
Okay. Yeah, look, I think that's a good idea. Look, we reported the rumor, which is something we normally don't do, but we're not a journalism show.
It's a good rumor, though.
It's fun to talk about, I'll be honest with you.
It's pretty funny. Sharp's banging everyone in the friggin' locker room.
They should have traded him for a Lupo. Last night in the National
Swinger.
Absolutely right. Last night in the National Hockey League, Rangers win a big one over Nashville. They pretty much control this all throughout. Pretty much for the most part through all three periods. Rangers take the Nashville Predators 4-1. Put an empty netter in there. Big win for the Rangers. Nashville's kind of got to regroup if they want to maintain their dominance, and I think they do. Peter Laviolette's not going to let things drop. He's going to get in control. The Chicago Blackhawks, they just come in and they burst out and they blow out the doors of the Carolina Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes, they blow out the door. They're going to go back to Carolina in their non-playoff hopes. Chicago looked like they meant it. The Montreal Canadiens, a little bit of a shock over there, but they run into a team much like the Rangers ran into this weekend with the Philadelphia Flyers, a team that's fighting for a playoff spot. Montreal didn't take them seriously. San Jose crushed and took advantage of power plays. They take that 4-0. Tonight in the National Hockey Dokie League, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Nashville is in New Jersey to take on the Devils. The Calgary Flames, they take on the Philadelphia Flyers. Look for that to be a good game. Both teams fighting. Philly's not out of it yet, but if they lose to Calgary, you might have to put, maybe not this game, but they can't keep doing what they're doing. Big win after the Rangers. They got to beat teams like Calgary. And same thing goes for Calgary because they're in the West. They need the points now. The Washington Capitals, probably the team that scares me the most in the National Hockey Team as being a Ranger fan. They take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Connor McJesus, the sweepstakes, they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, where they're more than likely to be crushed. The Toronto, who cares? They take on the Cats, who I predict a victory. If I was betting today, I'd take the Cats over the Leafs. I'm calling it right now. There it is. Your shot from the point lock of the week. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Ottawa Senators are in Minnesota to take on the North Stars. 8:30 Eastern Standard. The Islanders take on the Dallas Stars. 9 o'clock Anaheim's in Arizona to take on the Yotes. 9:30 the Stanley Cup champions, Los Angeles Kings. They'll take on their rivals, the Edmonton Oilers. Oh, that ought to be fascinating. And the late night game, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The San Jose Sharks and the Vancouver Canucks. Let me call it right now, Dead on Dave. This is the game of the night.
Game of the night.
Game of the night.
Game of the night.
Game of the night. Is there any games that you want to see? No, you want to see the Canucks and the team I already forgot. Oh God, what was their name? Oh,
the
shit.
Shacks.
The Canucks. The Canucks. What was the other team they were playing? I don't know. But just get out of my crease.